Okay, Matt, let's talk about AI.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And I'm glad we're talking about it because, as you know, we have been doing a lot of work with AI here at Great Capital. I don't know if I haven't shared this with you today, Matt, but I generated a really cool blog post
Mhm.
using ChatGPT yesterday. Can I share it live
Yeah.
on the show? Let me, while I pull it up, bring us
Give a
into
little bit
this
of my spiel.
Biz Now piece.
A couple of BizNow articles exploring the potential of tools like ChatGPT to maybe revolutionize the real estate industry. I think that for me, it's important to temper expectations. And this is going to be my take on this. I think I'm getting a far better understanding of how to use these tools after learning what they are not good at, rather than learning what they can or could do. Ask any excited AI evangelist or AI doomer; those aren't mutually exclusive, and you'll hear that this technology can do anything, will change everything, and is being implemented right now to drastically improve productivity across industries. From healthcare to urban planning, from legislation to sanitation, it will do everything. But that's all well and good. But you don't learn anything without jumping into it and kind of wrestling with the AI and realizing, oh, I shouldn't be asking it this kind of thing. I should use my own brain and to recognize the shortcomings is to recognize where humans can jump into this and actually use it and contribute.
It is a blunt tool, especially without really knowing how to use it and what you're trying to accomplish and what you need to feed it and the inputs to get the outputs.
Yeah.
Because I've been using ChatGPT and now Google Bard a lot over the last 2 months or so, and I have made practical uses of it, especially now the ChatGPT has more plugins that you can use. It's connected to the internet, but it is not perfect, and certainly what it is not, it does not produce finished products.
Yep.
It is a great tool to start something. For example, when we're putting together a new investment committee, I'm exploring ideas on bylaws and structures and formations. It's a great tool to help kind of explore different ideas, and they can really accelerate a lot of busy work. And it can help on research, it can help on rewording things, but you have to be very specific. And so I just pulled up this, let me see if this works. All right, Matt. So, I've just been like experimenting, and I have these web plugins now. And so I started this whole piece with basically like pop in the Redfin database, give me information. And it's pulling out, homes for sale. It's not really what I wanted. It couldn't give me the rent growth information. And then I was getting frustrated because I was like, give me just use all of your resources and the best of your ability to find any information regarding rent growth in Indianapolis. It's like, I know you know this.
Yeah.
If you can search the internet, if you're like, you can have this.
Yeah.
And then because I had asked it before, try the internet.
I know.
I'm like, it couldn't find the information. I said, what is the most recent rent growth data for Indianapolis? And we use Wolfram Alpha, the plugin. Couldn't find the information. Try Redfin. Couldn't find it. Try the internet. And then it's like, I can't find the specific information. And I'm like, okay, I always haven't been specific enough. And then I said, use all your resources. Again, this is like if you run into a dead end, but then there's a different way to word the prompt. Yeah. So I use all of your resources, the best of your ability to find any information regarding rent growth in Indianapolis. And lo and behold, it's like, oh yeah, we know we have rent growth information, but then it didn't tell me what it was. Yeah. So I was like, what is current rent growth in Indianapolis? Finally, it brought me the answers.
Yeah.
Then it was like, rate Midwest market for apartment investing, list reasons for ranking and cite data, use all plugins, prioritize using the web. When using the web, search multiple sources, do all to the best of your ability and use all resources. It just kept chugging on this one because I think it's because I told it to use multiple sources and do all of your best ability and use all resources, which I think that does something.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure it uses all the plugins. Yeah. And it wasn't using the web. It was going on Redfin. It wasn't finding something. It wouldn't continue to search. So I have to remind it, you have to keep looking. And so this is how many web queries it went through. And then it stopped. I said, regenerate last. Use different sources such as Yardi and apartment lists. Because I was like, let's give it a little bit of help.
There we go.
Bam. Here we go. Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, Cleveland, Detroit. I thought that was interesting. And it gave the information. And this is based on Yardi apartment list, which I told you to use Ann's number. Columbus is number 1. Indianapolis number 2. Give us some data. talk about rent growth, average rent, occupancy, then Cleveland, which I thought was interesting, and Detroit, which I thought was interesting. Those wouldn't be my 3 and 4, but very interesting. And then it tells you to think about other factors. And then I was like, okay, let's take this one step further. And I told her to write a 3,000 word PhD level white paper on investing opportunities in suburban Midwestern markets. Told her to do some case studies. And then it's like, I can't do that. I'm like, okay, now 3,000 words. Just write the PhD level white paper. Use your plugins, best of your ability, cite sources. Also generate general investment theses for investing in large multifamily apartments. I wanted them to throw that in because you have to kind of tell it where to go.
Yeah.
You can't assume it knows what you want it to do.
Yeah.
It's a tool. And so it threw out this nice, although I thought brief and not as detailed as I would like, little white paper about, the Midwest, general investment thesis for large multifamily apartments, some case studies, which I thought were very solid. It cited the sources and footnotes, which wouldn't be the style that I would use, but that's, I guess, more the PhD level white paper style. Conclusion, all these nice references that I can link to.
I do like how they're using the 3 markets that are measured with 3 different organizations for rent growth.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like, okay, I have this, but then you have to take, this is not publishable at all. When you have to review
apples.
It's not apples to apples, then it's like we would have to swap out all the data.
Yeah.
Or I could just tell it.
Rewrite.
I could just say, regenerate this, rewrite it, only use the same sources, and it would do it. And so then I was like, more data, longer length, explore advantage of investing in the Midwest over the Sun Belt and other regions, then I was giving it more of a direction. I was like, I want you to distinguish the Midwest from other markets, and then why we like it. Suggest the Midwest have been overlooked and mispriced. And then so it did a bunch of research on its own.
This is important, I think, for people to kind of understand how people eat, because a lot of the discussion of how to use these tools is like, I just did this, and then like, look what it did.
Yeah.
But like, no, you argued with it. Anyone, the best stuff that I've seen is like, you got to argue with it for a little while. You got to say, no, do it this way, or talk with it.
Yeah.
But it's never just a one and done.
No, it's not. No, not at all. So it outputted this I thought it was a really good step in the right direction. It talked about, the Midwest real estate market. It talked about Indianapolis, Lansing, and Columbus were 3 markets that I had wanted to talk about. Gave us some facts, advantages of investing in the Midwest, which I think it hit really nail on the head. Obviously, I influenced it. But it started, pulling out, some risks in like the Sun Belt that like I didn't tell it about.
Yeah.
Including, the Sun Belt region has seen a significant increase in property prices. I didn't tell it that, which could potentially lead to lower yields for investors. Something I said, but I didn't tell it that. Additionally, the Sun Belt is more susceptible to natural disasters like hurricanes, which could lead to higher insurance costs and potential property damage. True, but I didn't.
Yeah.
It figured that out for me. Nice conclusion. I told it great, now longer and better. So, and then when I did that, I was like, that's a bad prompt.
Well,
like you need to be specific, but I wanted it longer and better, and I wanted to see what would happen. And it made it a little bit longer, especially the general investment thesis for multifamily. It made it a little bit bigger, not much more. And now I was like, okay, so we've got all the data, and no one wants to read a white paper. Convert it to a blog post. Include the data. Use a click-inducing headline. So this is the click-inducing headline, Matt, which I don't really then love, but unearth potential. Why the Midwest is the next big thing in multifamily real estate investment.
Unearthed.
Yeah, unearthed. I was like, interesting. The Midwest Advantage goes through case studies. It goes into much more qualitative information about the markets than just data. Then it reverted back to like using citations as opposed to putting the data in the body paragraphs.
Yeah,
which I like.
Cites them in there. It says according to, and then it has.
Yeah. But sometimes it's like I would like to know what maybe this.
I want to actual number.
I want to know what the actual number is. So the good case study, Midwest versus Sun Belt. Conclusion. The Midwest but then it just like started repeating itself.
Yeah, that's what. No, I that's like exactly what happened.
And it got itself into a loop. It just kept going and going and going and going. So I was like, stop.
So I tried to have it help me write the notes for this podcast and try to get articles. Did not have a lot of success with it. It kept suggesting the same article from like a bunch of different sources. It was like this minor multifamily acquisition. I was like, nope, you can stop. You're okay. And there was one I was telling you yesterday. I was using Google Bard. I was like, well, okay, give me some articles. Do you know what the gray report is? Yes.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, so can you give me 20 articles that would fit in the gray report? And these multifamily articles, and it had like 20 or 12 believable articles. Oh, let's do it right now. This will be funny.
Okay. Can I finish? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good because
I didn't know that you had this final draft. I stopped at the unearthed potential.
No, that we were getting close. I wanted. Sorry, and this is going on too long. But I told it to them once we had that, I wanted to write in the context of the Great Capital LLC blog and content on the Great Capital LLC YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
And then so it took like I don't know if our transcripts, it looked at our blogs. And it changed it a little bit, and so all of a sudden it's like Indianapolis, the heart of the Midwest. It gave it these nice titles, and then it also talked about at Great Capital C. It took a lot of the verbiage that we use. So I thought that was interesting, and that's and then I made some other tweaks, so I thought it was a useful tool, and I was like, this. I got it to a point of where with some additional editing, I was like, this is useful. I can publish this. So Matt, what?
Okay, I'm going to recreate this whole thing. We'll do it live, just in a new tab.
It's a new chat.
In a new tab with Google Bard.
With Bard?
Yeah. Because Bard is funnier to me. It makes more mistakes.
I've gotten Bard to do things I can't get ChatGPT to do, and ChatGPT to do things that Bard can't do. And I've been using the same prompts in different AI generators. Google will give up a little quicker.
Yeah,
I asked it to do something, and then it was like, I can't do that. I asked it to analyze something. It's like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I said, write a blog post analyzing it, and it did it.
It's interesting.
It's like I'm a language model. I won't do that for you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, write about it. Obviously, that's what I want you to do.
And there is, they talk a lot about hallucinations. There is like a level of confidence and like objectivity that these AI tools use that you need to get into situations where they're wrong so that you understand, okay, it's going to be it'll lie to you right to your face, and it doesn't see it as a lie.
And that's what's scary because, like, as a business owner, part of me is like, oh, we got to get this in the hands of all of our team. This is going to make everyone so much more productive. People are saying it'll make everyone 30% more productive, but you have to have a lot of like rules because all of a sudden the fear is people are just going to be using this to generate emails or posts and things they don't review, and it's just a bunch of garbage and it's wrong. And so like it can be a slippery slope either way, really. And I think that's why we have to be smart about how we use it and refine some of the use cases and exactly how we're going to use it in the steps and the processes and in like the checklists. Like there's a lot of potential, but there's a lot of pitfalls. And it's like, so often it's like, okay, that's like 70% of the way there.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Exactly. And that's what I mean is if you want to really use these tools the best way, you need to figure out where the shortcomings, put yourself in there to compensate for those shortcomings, and then ride that wave, because those shortcomings are going to be different as you go different. So I'm going to try and ask 3 questions.
Okay. Ask.
It's going to be really quick. Okay. So first question is, do you know?
This is all caps. No. Does it know you're yelling at it?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. No, I think sometimes I'm like, no, I have found myself getting a little edgy sometimes when it's not what I wanted it to do.
Yeah. I know.
Like,
you're arguing with it.
And then but I don't want to be mean to it.
Oh, this is another thing that before I do this, and this is my important part too, is I think everyone's paying a lot of right attention to this, and it's a lot different. And a lot of people are, jumping on the hype bandwagon. They're repainting over everything that said NFT and crypto, and now they're just putting AI. But I do think that it is important. I think that one thing that is different about AI than all these others, even really social media or the internet, is we've been talking about computers as brains since like the 1950s. Ever since computers were invented, we conceived of them as these, it's just a way like anthropization or whatever, anthropomorphism. And so we have this imagination. We've been kind of meditating this, whether it's Westworld or like Lost in Space. We've been meditating on this topic for a long time.
Well, yeah, they had all the. I mean, Star Trek had all this. They had the computer. Yeah. You could give it a complex problem. It could figure it out. I mean, not to mention data.
And so I think that I don't think we're jumping the gun. I think that it is doing amazing things and it will do amazing things, but I don't think that we're completely caught off guard with it. I think that culturally we have some sense of where.
Oh yeah, and we all know where it's going to go. It's called the Matrix, and
exactly.
We've seen the Terminator. It's
so at least
so
one.
Yeah. So okay. So Matt, hit enter. Everyone.
Do you know about the Gray Report podcast and YouTube series? And so I'm asking Bard this. It says I'm a text-based. Well, that was different than that was.
But it's like, okay, you connect to the internet, you can't search. Right, ask it to write a blog post about the Gray Report podcast, and I often say on the Gray Capital LLC YouTube channel, but I don't know.
Well, I just wanted to say, give me 5 articles on multifamily investing published in the last 2 weeks. Bart is connected to the internet, and when I asked,
ask Fit to write a blog.
Write a blog about
and tell it to cite its sources and tell it to use all of its available resources.
Using sources published within the last 2 weeks.
Tell it to use the internet and use all of its available resources. In my mind, it's utilizing all of Google. It's like it's getting into all of their servers and it's going to answer this question. Maybe it's just
and cite sources.
You have to say to your best of your ability too, because
crap.
you don't want it to just Okay,
right, I'm gonna give up.
Okay,
but I do just want to share my experience with it yesterday. I was able to get something out of it. I said, "Do you know what the Great Capital is?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, so can you give me 5 articles for the Great Capital podcast?" And it gave me 5 articles, and then I was like, "All right, tell me when they were published." Just tell me when they're published. So I Googled these articles, and the articles aren't real. They made.
Sometimes you have to prep it.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you have to be like, "Do you know what this is?" And then it knows what we are. Okay. So again, this is a handful of times. I'm like, man, I got the answers. You're like, I did the same thing. It didn't work.
You have to back them into a corner.
You have to back it into the corner and show it has the information.
Yeah.
Do you have access to the Gray Capital LLC blog? So now it's going to go through and look at all of our blogs. It's going to get all the ideas of articles. It's going to scan all that. Yep. Here's some last posts from the Gray Capital blog. So now we're going to ask it the same thing. Now, I think if I would do this, I would say in context of
So do that. Yeah.
But let's just see if it does it now that we've helped it out a little bit. Oh, it suggests it's suggesting these are 5.
Yeah.
So again, it's I didn't understand what I want to say. One thing I want to show. I know we're talking about this a lot, but I think there are a lot of really cool use cases. So for one, I started telling it, and this probably isn't the best thing to do. I started telling some things about our company, about Gray Capital as a business consultant, and I told to ask me as many questions as possible for it to help me.
Yeah.
And it was pumping out some really good ideas. I even provided some rough numbers on our budget, and it was able to give me some really interesting information. But then I set up. I was emailing through here, but I started loading in, Matt, a bunch of PDFs in articles from the last week's Gray Report episode, and it just a lot of PDFs, the NAR report, the RD report, BizNow articles. I loaded a whole Gray Report episode up, and now this conversation has the entire knowledge of all those articles, those reports. And I was asking questions. And I even asked it, and this is interesting. I asked to describe the average viewer of the Gray Report show on the Gray Capital LLC YouTube channel. Who is the avatar? Why are they watching? Why do they return? And it didn't really know. So here's the difference where Google Bard did a better job. If it spits out the same, so it actually gave me, and it's funny. This is different from what it spat out yesterday because it had 40 to 50 on the age. But it looked at it. It talked about what the show is. The typical demographics, the age between 45 and 65. They have a significant amount of disposable income. They're watching the show to learn about the latest trends in multifamily investing, to get advice from experts, and network with other investors. They return to the show because they find it to be informative and entertaining, and they appreciate the insights that the hosts provide. Appreciate that, Bard. They would like to see more content. And I asked, I was like, what do they want to see? They would like to see more content on the show that focuses on specific strategies of multifamily investing, as well as more interviews with experts in the field. They want more interviews.
We can do that. We like that too.
Yeah, and then it told me their income is 200,000 plus. Their business owner, executive or professional. They're interested in multifamily investing, real estate finance, their goals. Some reason why they return. This was like I thought this was great, and ChatGPT couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
But I can ask ChatGPT now that it has all this information from the Gray Report. I was asking, given the information and data provided, suggest an acquisition strategy tailored for today's market, and focus on high demand markets. Consider emerging markets, and that gives you examples of markets to consider in both these categories. Invest in affordable housing, long-term holds in stable markets, and leverage data and technology. Diversify your portfolio, build strong relationships, all things that make sense. I would say maybe a little like,
these are bold. They're not saying anything
that's nothing really new. It's not, you're not going to get anything groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But you are going to get some real analysis.
Yeah.
And it's got all this data in here from these PDFs.
Yeah.
And so you can really use it to ask, here, let's just try, summarize the current state of the multifamily market in less than 500 words. Use all data inputted. Do the task to the best of your ability and use all available resources. I know I misspelled a lot of things. I wasn't looking. It's going to figure it out. It's got spell check. Headline, Multifamily Market. Navigating the current landscape, the multifamily market, a key player in the real estate industry, is currently experiencing a myriad of shifting dynamics as we journey into the second quarter of 2023. This summary synthesizes insights from various authoritative sources, with particular focus on the Yardi Matrix Multifamily National Report, supplemented by insights from CoStar Group and the National Association of Realtors. The Yardi Matrix Multifamily National Report identifies the top 10 markets in the U.S. that have witnessed the strongest rental demand in the terms of rent growth, absorption, and lease new supply relative to inventory. And I kind of told it to look at that earlier, so maybe it's getting some influence. These markets include Phoenix, Vegas, Sacramento, Riverside, Atlanta, Tampa, Charlotte, San Diego. Interestingly, the Midwest, U.S., particularly cities like Peoria, Indianapolis, and Omaha, and Lincoln have also shown strong rent growth. However, the multifamily sector is not immune to broader economic trends. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it's doing a really good job, Matt. Because once you get it, once you give it all the data, it's less hallucinatory. It has actually like concrete data to go off of and build upon.
Want some citations and to follow up on some of the conclusions, but
and in the next version, I can just tell it to use citations.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, the story that I had was I asked Bard at the time. I asked it yesterday. I forget how I phrased it, but it said, "Yeah, I know about Gray Report." I said, give me 12 articles for the Gray Report. It says, okay, here's 12 articles. And I looked at them. I was like, okay, tell me when they're published. Okay, here they're published. All right, we got it all good. Got the titles. I Googled one. Article did not exist.
Didn't exist. Yeah.
So I said, okay, Bard, can you tell me a little bit more about these articles? I said, give me the name of the publisher. They're like, okay, yeah, here you go. Do you want a link for that? Do you want a link for these articles? I was like, this will be good. Give me a link for that, Bard. And Bard said, no, I can't do that. I'm just a language model. I can't give you any links.
Yeah.
So it lied to me.
It's straight up lied to you. Unbelievable.
And then I said, rephrase your response to be a little bit more defensive. Actually couldn't be that.
That's funny. So I'm telling you to cite more sources, Matt, which is good. There's so many things that it's like, this is gonna be the end of the show, Matt.
Yeah.
So this is like, so I was asking today, I was like, want to have some morale boosting campaigns. We have a whole new campaign, but all exciting stuff going on. I'm like, but I want to do some cool things to get everybody motivated and boost morale. And I've got a lot of ideas, but I'm like, okay, I could think here for 30 minutes and use my brain, which I'm going to do, but give me a head start. Give me the list.
Yeah. This is where that, identified some shortcomings, but this is where some of the stuff where it's like, I am kind of new to this. I'm a little rusty about this kind of thinking.
You're getting ready to start a task. I'm getting ready to start a task. You might as well ask Like, how do I get started? And I told it's like, I'm a CEO. I'm putting together a morale boosting campaign for the company. We have 3 divisions. We have this many people. This is a general maybe how much money I want to budget, which really wasn't important at the end. I was like, we've got a family farm that we could utilize. I want to identify for thought leadership and all kinds, different events, weekly, daily, weekly, monthly, one-time opportunities. It used the web. It used the web to figure out what was going on in the local area. And it put together some team building events with examples of some things that we could do this month, which we are doing one of those things, the 500. There's a big car auction, which probably not right up our alley, but I could ask to suggest.
Let's spend our budget on getting a car.
But bonuses, contests, prizes, communication and leadership, feedback session, leadership training, company retreat, professional, all this stuff. I've had to do all of this, but I then made a Google spreadsheet and started putting a budget together and a calendar, and I took what I liked and added some more things and took out what I didn't like.
And
it saved 45 minutes, 30 minutes of work.
No, and this is the kind of stuff. Yeah, if you're just entering activity, you want that foothold, and even if you have the idea already, to have it spit out what you. It's like, oh, okay, then that's a crucial support rather than kind of going out on a limb. It really, really helps you to not kind of go out on a limb.
I first started looking at I wanted to name the campaigns.
Oh, that's good.
Some examples of different morale campaigns across time. But then let's go to the next one. So then I asked for more clandestine operations. And there's some really interesting that they weren't necessarily aligning with what I was going for.
Yeah, these are all war actions.
There's some interesting ones, like Operation Northwoods, Wandering Soul. Anyway, So we're learning a lot every single day in the Great Report, and so long story short, we're in the infancy.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a lot of custom again, because a lot of it's it almost works, but really it's bringing this into the rest of our tech stack. We're building APIs, and setting the policies around how to best use it, what not to use it. But there's so much opportunity, and again, we're already taking advantage of it. But it's exciting to see what it's all going to integrate. And there's a war right now between OpenAI, Google, and all these other firms, because Bard came out on Friday and ChatGPT dropped in all their plugins on Monday.
And Adobe got the thing for their Firefly, which is okay. But it does seem like everything's coming. And then Sam Altman was up in front of Congress. It was give us more regulation. And I was like, I bet the regulation is just shut the door behind me. Now
they were like, can you do it? And he was like, no, probably not, but I can find somebody. They're like, sure, we know nothing about this.
The plan is to tell you the regulation is going to be you're not allowed to do AI unless you're OpenAI. That's going to be
that's usually how it works.
Yeah.